Fantastic. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to workshop number 2 of our what's it called? Of our fundamentals and business of coaching workshops for May. And today is all about okay. Today's about principles of coaching. Again, like last week, we looked into what is coaching and the differences between coaching, therapy, mentoring, counseling, and things like that. It's just for us to, again, I know some of you already been coaching and you've practicing for some time now. So this is not me kind of telling you what to do. I'm sure by the end of this, some of you would have like confirmation that you're doing the right thing. Like last week, we had people, getting like, this is confirmation that I'm doing the right thing. It's confirmation that I'm definitely a coach. And some people last week found out that they might be taking on another aspect of that, which is therapy, for example, because their job or their practice requires that. So it was quite interesting to see and quite insightful to see that, that session was enlightening for people and it was a confirmation and other eye-opening for them to see other areas that they might be going into, which is really good. So again, it's just for us to make sure we're doing things right as coaches. Like our association motto is coaching for excellence. And as Black coaches, we want to make sure we're doing the right thing. As coaches, we are people's lives, like I would always say that their lives are in our hands, but they're coming to us for guidance. So it's quite delicate and it's something we need to take seriously because if people are trusting us with any areas of their life to be better, then I think it's worth it that we do things the right way to make sure, obviously, our clients, people that we work with, they get the maximum results and that we're doing things the right way, not just the fact that, oh, I'm a coach because I know how to do this. I'm just going to do it anyhow I wanted without following the right principle or setting the right environment for this kind of stuff. So that's just the reason why we are doing this. We're doing this workshop. Obviously, in the next 2 weeks, we're now going to be focusing on the business of coaching because you being good at something, having a skill at something. So like, for example, you are good at coaching. It doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be successful at it, at running a business of it. So next 2 weeks, we're going to focus on how you can complement your skills of being a coach and running it as a business, how you can be successful and sustainable as a business. So that's what we're going to be looking at in the 2 weeks left in May. But today we're looking at principles of coaching. So I've kind of done a recap from last workshop. We looked at the differences between coaching, mentoring, counseling, and therapy. And then we're going to look into what is the definition of principle and what does principle mean when it comes to coaching. Then we look into principles. Oh, I need to take that out. Like the principles of coaching, they're the same thing. The approach and principle are the same thing. Then we look into, obviously, what are we taking away? What have we learned? Is there confirmation that you're doing the right thing, or have you learned something new? And what are you going to be taking away? And then obviously for Q&A. If any of you have any questions, then we can take that. Again, I want it to be as interactive as possible. I want you to share if you can, but if not, it's okay too. Cool. Right. So what is the definition of principle? So according to obviously Merriam-Webster dictionary on Google, the famous platform, principle is basically a comprehensive and fundamental law, doctrine, or assumption, a rule or code of conduct, habitual devotion to right principles, man of principles. So the example of principles. So basically, what you live your life by, for example, so for example, I'm a Christian, devoted one. So I could say obviously my principles align with the Bible because that's what guides me, So for me, it's like, I wouldn't call it law, but doctrine, for example. So for example, I go to a particular church and that church has its own doctrine. So I'll give you a good example. In that church, we, like women, especially if you're a worker in the church, like you're usher, you're in choir, or you have a role in the church, you're not supposed to wear trousers as women. That's one thing. That's doctrine, right? It does not mean that if I wear trousers, I don't go to heaven. It's just their own law, their own doctrine, what they live by, the code of conduct, for example. So that's a simple example I want to give what principle is. So every single person in life have something they live by, their life. So if I come to you and say something, if it doesn't align with your own principle, then you can easily tell me, unfortunately, no. Just not anything, just don't do it. I can't do that because it doesn't align with my principle. It doesn't align with who I am. It doesn't align with my life mission or whatever, right? So it's a doctrine that we owed as an individual. So that's an example of, that's like definition of principle, right? So we're gonna go into what it means in terms of coaching, right? Definition of principles of coaching, right? So there are a few. So obviously we're coaches. That means, and there's like different bodies, or there's like ICF, AC, different coaches, right? And in general, there's some things that we're supposed to live by code of conduct as coaches. Because if everybody just do things the way they want, then the quality of your coaching delivery might not be great. Because then I will have the way I do coaching. So how would I measure whether I'm giving the right coaching practice to my client? Shireen may have, oh no, I do mine this way. Some JJ will think, oh no, this is how I do mine. So everybody else do their things differently. And like, so how do we make sure we're doing the right thing? Because if everybody has their own principle of how they do things, then it's quite hard to measure results from that angle, right? Because then everybody's doing the thing the way they want. It's me, it's how I want. So so today we're looking at 8 principles of coaching that we should use to guide our practice. Now, I'm not saying I'm mandating people to use this, but we're saying that these are the things to get maximum amount of people, for people to coach your client to reach a potential that you want them to. Use these principles to help you get your clients where they are, regardless of what kind of coach you are. So there are 2 points here. The coachee, who is a client, should feel listened to, understood, supported, stimulated, and focused. The principle of coaching are to define the borders, purposes, and styles of coaching to help the client or coachee to perform his or her desires and fulfill their requisites. So again, it's by definition. So for example, something is guiding us, like, oh, how do I do this? The board is like a box, right? So you can't move out of that box. You should act and deliver your practice using these guidelines, basically, because then it should definitely help your client to achieve their purpose, so it's very key that obviously we kind of walk towards that. If you walk outside of this principle, then your coaching practice might be questioned. I will question it, because if you're not coaching in these 8 principles, I've been wondering, what are you doing? So it's very key that everybody, we speak the same language, we act similarly. Obviously, how you deliver things were different, but we have this to guide us. It's like our own Bible, if we want to call it, like our own coach Bible kind of thing, to help us deliver how we should be delivering, to make sure that our clients are achieving their purpose. So principle of coaching, there are 8 of them that we're going to look into today. Actually, before I go on, I don't want to, do you have any addition to the definitions, or do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, it's funny actually, because listening to the principles definitions, my kind of guiding principle when it comes to my coaching, and through my experience and my thing, Bob, is to make people think. I want whoever I'm working with to be able to think about themselves in a different perspective, or look at a situation from a slightly different angle or in a different way, and where they might have seen closed doors before. Encourage them to think about things from different position, from different standpoint, from different point of view, so that they can find ways to open doors. So one of my personal principles, and you said about having your own values and your own principles and stuff, one of mine is to help my clients make people think. And for me, that's really important, because I work with a lot of young people, and sometimes young people, and I wasn't with the group last week, but I know that sometimes with coaching, those, like you said, boundaries can get blurred between it's not counselling, it's not therapy, it's not mentoring. Sometimes when you're working with young people, what they're looking for is to be led in some direction. So my principle about letting them think, me helping them to think about things is even more important, because it's very easy to lead young people, especially when they're asking, looking for direction, or some of them just want to be told what to do, or they're not used to thinking for themselves. So that's one of mine. So yeah, that's what I wanted to add.
I love that. That's really good, because then last week we also mentioned about when we talked about definition of coaching, and there was something that we learned about helping like your client or people to learn and grow, helping them. And it's not about you telling them.
No.
It's about you encouraging them to think. And so I'm glad, because you were not here last week, and if I just said this, you know, that's like a confirmation, like, yes, we're on the right track, on the right path, which is really, really good. I love the fact that I say the way you do it, like you want them to think and have a new perspective. And I'm sure then that comes from like questioning.
And and questioning, and with the, like I said, my client group, which is young people, it's allowing them to realize that they have their own power, you know. And actually I've worked with some really young people, so you know, I was coaching children aged 7 and 8, and that was quite interesting, because again, it's very easy to lead, they're very used to people telling them what to do, telling them what they can't do, telling them how they should be and what they could be. So when you actually sit down and actually let them know, you've actually got, it's all about you. I'm not here to tell you anything. I'm not your mum, I'm not a teacher, I'm not anyone. I'm just here to let you know that everything you know, everything you want, you already know deep down. You don't need anyone to tell you. I'm just going to ask you the right questions so you can say it out loud, you know. And my grandmother always used to say to me, everyone's got a little light inside them, and you know, everyone needs to let it shine. So I always say to young people, you've got a lovely ball of something in you that's amazing, and I just want to help you to let it shine. You've already got it. I'm not giving you anything. I'm just going to help it grow and ignite and shine. And they really get that. Once they get that, and that's been the joy of working with young people, coaching really little people. Once they get it, they get it.
That's amazing. I love that. I like, it's so easy, like when you're training younger or coaching younger age, like you said, it's very easy to tell them what to do, because you're like, don't do it that way, do it this way, you know. Like that's quite challenging, because even like as parents, we're almost telling them what to do almost time. So I'm trying to, you know, I'm trying to be that intentional now to like, so why did you do that? Why do you think that's okay? Why, you know, questioning them, making them think about their actions rather than say, that is wrong. You don't do that. Like making them like, why do you think your sister is crying when you took the offer? Why do you think that was nice? Why do you think that's not nice? You know, or they want to share. That's the biggest challenge. Like, share your sweet, share your cup, share something. Like, no, I'm like, but I don't enforce them to share. But I tend to ask them, if you don't share, what do you think will happen? Do you think she'll be happy? Do you think she'll be sad? Do you think it's nice
empathy? Trying to think about
rather than just say you must share, because they don't have to do anything.
No, they don't. and then understanding why you're asking them, and understanding what it feels like when someone doesn't share, is all part of that empathy and defining something in them. So it's really interesting, and actually it gets even more interesting, because when you get working with teenagers, you know, they want to be independent, so they don't want anyone to tell them what to do, and they don't want to be guided sometimes. So coaching actually really works as a principle, because then they were a bit flummoxed when I said, well, I'm not telling you what to do.
Exactly. Like even me, I get a point where like, just tell me what to do. I'm tired. Just tell me how to do. I can't think anymore, you know.
And as coaches, we have to be wary of that with our clients as well, because some of them want independence. Some people want a little a friend, mummy, someone just tell them what to do, because they don't want to think about it. That's when, again, comes into it. I
tell my clients, I'm not your mom. So I'll ask you questions. I'll get you things. I'm not here to answer out answers to you. I'm not here to answer out solutions to you. So I'm here to provoke your thought process, to help you, to guide you to get to the destination, or to get to the answers that you want, but you're going to give the answer yourself, but through my questioning and things like that. But yeah, so I really love that. That's really good. See how that kind of went into parenting and not parenting.
I know, sorry, that's mine.
No, it's fantastic. No, it's fantastic. You're a parent coach, so of course, it's just automatic. It's just not. It's given that it will go into that, so that's fine, no problem.
Yeah, and actually from when I learned coaching to working with young people, again, it's been another level of, because you've got the principle of coaching, but then you have to make sure you're not biased, and you have to kind of adapt that and be aware of all the other barriers within that when you're working with younger people. So
yeah, so that makes sense. Yeah, cool. Now we've got the 8 principles. The first one is coaching spirit, relationship and trust, asking questions and curiosity, listening and intuition, feedback and awareness, goals and action plans, accountability and accomplishments, safe and supportive environment. These are the 8 principles that we're going to look into today. Just looking at this before diving into it, do you think anything is missing? Do you agree with all these 8 principles?
Yeah. Yeah, so far. Yeah, but as we go through, I like some of those actually. Listening intuition is an interesting one. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the coaching spirit, right? So this is obviously to do with the coach themselves, right? To me, I always say you can't give what you don't have. So as a coach, obviously you should believe in human potential for greatness. So I didn't say why you're having clients that you don't believe that they can be great or they can be better than themselves, they can achieve what they've come to you for. So if you don't believe in that, I don't see why you should be a coach. That's the number one thing. You should believe fulfillment flows from adding value to others. So as a coach, it should be about adding value to others. It's not about you, it's about adding to other people, pouring into their lives, making them better than they've come to you. For me, that is my purpose. I'm fulfilled when I see my client, when I'm adding value to them and I see what that value looks like in their lives, in their businesses. I'm like, you know what? Yes, I can go to bed feeling fulfilled and smiling to bed. Like, yes, I've added value to someone's life, someone's business, bringing out the best in people and letting them lead. I really like that. It's very easy for coaches or human being in general to, especially when you're at the side of more as an expert, for example. There's this spirit that wants you to lead. It's just a reflex because you know more than that person. You just want to lead, you want to show them, want to say everything. But at the end of the day, your client should be the one leading, not you. And it's about bringing the best out of them. Using influence rather than position. So last week we talked about coaches not to see themselves as expert, because then when you start seeing yourself as an expert, it will actually block you and injure you from actually attaining some level of height, because you say that, oh, I don't have experience, I'm not an expert in this area, so I'm not going to go for this level of experience exposure because I don't know anything about that. But as a coach, actually, you don't have to be an expert, because what you're doing is listening and asking questions to get somebody to the destination or where they need to get to. So what makes you think you have to be an expert? I understand the fact that yes, you can get qualifications, whether you're a mentor, coach, parent coach, some things that you might have to go to learn that, is about that. But in your parent coach, for example, there's no reason why you can't say you can't attend to parent of 20-year-old or parent of 50-year-old or parent of 100 years old or parent of 19 years old, right? Because your value, your principle should be the same across all levels. There's nothing like I'm an expert in this area, so I can't talk to a 19-year-old because I only speak to 20-year-old moms or father. We should not use position. It's not about being an expert. It's not about being, are you there? Are you there? So I'm going to talk down at you. I'm going to talk down at you. I'm going to talk down to you. It's about just using you're influencing them. You're influencing their decision, ask them questions, instead of using like, I'm going to tell you what to do. Because that's positioning, isn't it? Like, I am the manager. I am the CEO. So I'm going to tell you what to do to achieve your goals. But no. Thrive on challenges and flexibility. This flexibility knocks me out. Before I was a coach, I used to think I was flexible. I used to think I was agile, and I would say that in any interview that I attend. Oh yes, I'm very flexible. I can adapt to any changes. I work better. I work great under pressure. Until, like, I work really in an agile environment, and when you work in an agile environment, things change quickly and things go wrong quickly. And like, I was having a hard time dealing with that. I'm like, but why? Why is it going wrong? So like, and for an agile person, it's about you. So yes, it's gone wrong, but yes, what can we do to make it better? You don't dwell on it, you know, emotion, get it, just let's keep moving. We have to deliver a product. What can we do to, you know, then that's when I realized that, okay, I need to work on my agility of mindset to be able to be flexible. Challenges come, but we overcome them. For me, I see challenges as opportunities. I don't see challenges as problems. As oh, that means there's an opportunity here to get something out of my client, to get something out of that challenge. It's like something, there's an opportunity, there's something needs to come out of there. There's a lesson that needs to be learned in this challenge. Right? And say, oh, this is a problem. I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to touch it. I just don't. Then how do you grow? You don't. Right? And then a coach, when you have a coaching spirit, you believe when we grow others, we grow ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, it's just giving, isn't it? Like giving. I was talking to my husband and about his learning a new thing, and I found out like the other person I want to train him or I want to kind of mentor him. So I said, oh, this person telling me all of these things. It's like it's what's the word? Restating what she knows, and kind of she's learning as well. She's showing what she's learning again as well. Why she's teaching you, and when we, to me, I always say when my clients win, we win. If my clients don't win, I'm like, what have I done wrong? What's going on? Obviously, also them winning is also subject to their own responsibility, how they take it. You know, it's not because I always tell my clients, just because one of my clients is booked and busy and making money, and you're not, and I've taught you guys, I've coached you the same way, then it's down to you. There's a clause that I say that you can achieve a constant flow of income only if you put in the work. So if my clients are not winning, the questions to be asked, why is that happening, right? It might not be, might be my approach, it might not be me, it might be my clients. So for me, when they win, we all win. Because if you think about it, when they win, they're gonna give you the best review ever. And then we grow because then another person will see that review that, oh my gosh, she must be good at what she does. Let me reach out to her. Then you're growing yourself as well. You're developing. And then again, when you fill in your cup, you're learning, you're growing as well, right? Because you want them to grow. So automatically you're developing yourself for them to develop. So you can't just go to a client with your cup empty. So when we grow others, we grow ourselves as well. It's not, there's no selfish bone. There should not be any selfish bone in a coach's body at all.
Yeah.
Last one is, a coach still needs a coach. A lot of people are still, I'm sure some people still struggle with this. People don't believe they need a coach, but maybe it's the way that coaches have not conveyed or passed the message that it is important that a coach should have a coach. I have career coach, marketing coach. I have the master as a coach of everything. So I have coaches, right? And I just believe, again, you can't give what you don't have. Learning is a continuous journey. Learning, somebody helping you, guiding you, the way you're guiding other people. So it's very key that even we as coaches, we have someone that's also guiding us, because you don't know everything. You cannot know everything. The things you know yesterday, today things have changed. So how are you going to adapt to the changing environment? How are you going to adapt to the changing clientele base? You know, so it's very key that we also have a coach that's helping us grow, you know, giving us that guidance and directing us and coaching us to be a better coach as well. Do you have anything you would like to add to this particular one?
I know that's that. And I think even if you, I mean, for me, there's times where I have a coach and I work well when I am being coached, I have to admit. But then sometimes I have to, personally for me, I like to step back and go and just implement some of the things that I've been talking about. That's when I move from having a coach to having an accountability partner or an accountability buddy, while I go away and do the work, you know, and that works for me. So I might only need to see my coach for a couple of sessions, then I'll go away, be accountable, come back and then pick up. Whereas I think if you're quite new and you're starting out, being part of a coaching group or coaching circle or accountability group and having a coach, I think gets you further in the short term than trying to do it on your own. And I think the longer you can have a coach or be part of a coaching community, or an accountability group when you're starting,
Mhm.
I think the further you get in your own time than without. The downside to that, though, is that people, well, I've noticed that when people get into groups, sometimes they tend to compare themselves to others, and then sometimes that slows you down, as opposed to, so it's really interesting about choosing the group that you're in and being around people that, you know, you want, like you said, you want them to win and they want you to win, and everyone celebrates everything best they can and supportive, as opposed to someone's winning and everyone then steps back because they feel like they're not on the same level, and that's completely natural. But I think that's something. And then the other thing you said, I thought was really interesting, was about when we grow and growing others. And one of the things I used to get hung up about when I first started coaching was about the results of my clients and feeling how much they reflected on me as my personal coach. And I used to use sleep over that. And then someone said to me one day, different coaching style from mine altogether, said, you know, the outcome for your clients, it's got nothing to do with you. And I said, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I was like, that's ridiculous. He said, no. And he said, no, you're making it all about you. And I was like, no. Do you know what I mean? It really, like, and again, shifting perspective, like, yeah, how much am I putting myself against the results of my clients, and how much am I measuring myself against them and whether they're doing the work or not? And for me, that turned into a better conversation about pre-qualifying the people that I work with, so that I already know that they are ready to do the work, as opposed to being really excited because you've got lots of clients, but maybe they're not ready to do the work, and then you are putting in twice as much work and feeling less of yourself when then not getting the results because you're thinking it's something you're doing, when in fact they probably weren't at the right stage. So for me, that's something that I've had to learn and still keep learning. Still have to keep learning and keep reminding myself of that and keep checking in with that. So yeah, I think that's two really interesting things. Yeah,
I like that. Honestly, especially if you're a young coach or you're new to coaching, you might feel like, oh my God, I'm not seeing results. So maybe something I'm doing wrong, I'm not doing right. I'm like, no, because if other people are seeing the result and it's just this person that's not, then that means it's down to them. And you would know, because you have a relationship with this person, you would know the their level of output. You would know how much effort they're putting in. You would know how they're working, whether they're doing what they're supposed to do, whether they're reporting, what, you know, you would know. Because then I'm like, okay, this person definitely not pulling their weight. So of course they're not going to see anything. So that's how I always try to put in my contract that I will give you the tools, I will show you, I will guide you, but the result is down to you.
it's down to
If you
you.
work.
Yeah.
You're not gonna come back and say, yeah, can I get my money back? I'm not seeing results. I've done my part.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what money you want back, but yeah, it happens. I have had a client at the consultation level where they said, oh, so what if after 10 weeks of working with you, I don't see the results? Or I'm like, so 10 weeks, you've used 10 hours of my time. That's number one. I've shared with you documents. I've shared with you different tools, different strategies. I've shared a lot of things with you. So where would that, so if you want refund after 10 weeks, so who is going to pay me for the 10 hours I've spent with you, for the tools that I've shared with you, to strike that? So who's going to pay me for that? So where's the refund coming from? I'm like, this is not a product where you say, oh, my phone is not working, I want a refund. It doesn't work like that. Coaching doesn't work like that. To see results, you need to put it to work. We're not going to do the work for you. That's why I always tell people, I'm not your mom. I'm not going to do the work for you. I'm not going to tidy your room for you. I'm going to share tools with you that will help you get the result you're looking for.
And then, like you said, that goes back to last week's discussion about the people that your clients knowing the difference between coaching and actually managing that expectation from the first place, so that they understand. Because even though sometimes we'll say, it's coaching, I need coaching, they still sometimes are expecting mentoring or something else. And you know, and then you realize actually they said they've signed the contract saying they know I'm a coach and I know what coaching is, but actually what they're needing and what they're requesting isn't coaching. And again, it's that for me that's qualifying that person. And
exactly. So for me, when they fill a form, for example, to work with me, I always have a conversation with them, because again, people think they know what they want sometimes, but they don't. So when I get on the call, just for 30 minutes, let's actually hear what the problem is. Let's hear what the
Yeah.
situation is,
Yeah.
then you can easily just say, you know what, I hear you. I don't think it's coaching you need. I think it's mentoring. I think it's accountability. I
Yes.
think it's there because based on what you've told me. So definitely I would advise any coach to always go on a call, with, and if you can record all this in like the pre-qualifying questions as a form,
Yeah.
then fine. If you can then get that out of that, then that's fine. But definitely I like speaking with people. I want to hear the vibe. I want to feel the vibe. I want to hear, because you can also tell how ready they are from their tone and their body language, how ready they are that they want to work. You can tell because anybody can fill a form and say whatever on the form.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so it's very key that we also cover ourselves as coaches and just have the right kind of people to work with and helping them decide or helping them or show them like what you're looking for is this. But right now I don't offer that, but I know who can do this for you, blah, blah, blah.
Mm,
So
mm,
that way you don't just take on just for take off because of money
yeah.
and then you're not delivering because the person wants something else and you can't deliver what they're looking for.
Yeah. And I think, and adding from that, I mean, the best coaches that I have are the ones that I
Mm.
can say to, this is the kind of coaching that I need right now. So sometimes it
Yeah,
might be goal driven, like I want to get this done, I want to achieve this, I want to launch that. That's quite
yeah,
clear. Sometimes I say,
yeah,
do you know what? I just need to throw some ideas around. I don't need,
yeah,
I literally just need to talk my thoughts out loud, pick out some
yeah,
questions for me to get me to think about it. Or sometimes I have times
yeah.
I say, do you know what? I'm completely lost. I don't know where to start. Just
Mhm.
ask me some questions so I can get back on track. And so
Yeah,
for me, I know what style I need. Whereas if your client is new to coaching, they might not even know what kind of coaching they need when they're
yeah,
starting off. And
yeah.
some coaches tend to be very goal driven and goal orientated
Mhm.
and target focused, which might be
Yeah,
right for certain issues that you have, like launching
yeah,
something or getting something sorted. But then some people
yeah,
in their lives might be, do you know what? I'm just a bit stuck. I'm not sure where my
yeah,
options are. And it's a
yeah,
slightly different type they need. So again, understanding that your client, if they're new, might
yeah.
need coaching, but understanding, like you said, what the issue is so you can adapt your style to what they need in that moment because
Yeah,
it change, I think is really interesting as well. Yeah.
it is. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. The next one is relationship and trust. The second one,
Mm,
maintain authentic rapport and humor, touch a heart with care and sincerity,
mm,
practice integrity and build trust. This is so key,
mm.
so key. But a caveat I'm going to throw in there is to be careful because you can definitely, create a rapport and then there's this friendship that comes out of because you've been working together for some time, three
Yeah.
months, 6 months. So it's only natural that you become friends.
Yeah.
But then you have to make sure that the professional line is not being crossed. There's a boundary as well, that because then it can get crazy. Like, don't get me, all my clients, I'm grateful to God and I've been so blessed that all my clients are, I would say, yes, we're friends. I think we're cordial, we're
Yeah.
associates, we're friends. Like, and they like, we have that rapport. We joke about, but they know the boundaries,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, even as close as we are, or as our friendship grows, or in the business line, they know not to contact me at certain time of the day. They
Yeah.
know not to contact me at weekends. Even when they do, they'll say, "Do not they literally do not
Yeah.
respond to this
Response. Yeah.
now."
Yeah. Yeah.
Respond to what in your working hours, things like that, and genuine care. You have to really care. I don't, I don't know if people can actually do coaching without having a genuine care and
Yeah.
sincerity. I don't know how you can do it
Yeah. I
because
agree with that. Yeah.
yeah, we don't know how you can do it. Build trust, practice integrity. Like all this, I don't know if you can have a sustainable, successful coaching practice without this. This for me is huge.
Yeah.
Relationship for me is amazing. From the time you fill my form, the time I get on the call with you, you will just know like we're like business best friend kind of thing. My heart is just open to you. You know that I'm actually genuinely caring about your goals and you want to achieve whatever it is you want to achieve. You want to get to wherever you want to get to. I genuinely care and I want to help you as much. Even if I'm not the one that can help you after listening to you, I
Yeah.
will pass you on, recommend someone that I know can, that's how much I care. And building trust, making sure that, they can trust you, you're trustworthy as a coach. Again, I'm just thinking like, is it possible to be a coach and not have this? I don't know.
I think we're coaches. We know. So we we feel like maybe you can't. But I think there's definitely times where people are not right for each other as a coach-coachee relationship for different reasons, personality reasons, different people. So I think even though you might care for someone or your coachee might not, it's still about building that rapport and finding the right person. And I've had people to say, oh no, coaching doesn't work, when in fact you didn't have a good relationship with your coach. There's 100 other million coaches out there. You know, it's about finding the right person for you. And again, those early conversations and those early calls where you're qualifying people, you know, it isn't just about, you know, and I think you'll come onto it a little bit later. It's not just about, oh, can they solve my problem and that, but, you know, are they, sometimes it is, you know, do they believe in the same things as me? Do we have common values? You know, these are all things that give you a long-term relationship with your coach and make you want to work with someone. Because every coach I've had, as much as I'm doing it for me, on the accountability front, I want to be able to go back to that person and share the fact that, hey, I've achieved this. This is amazing. This is great. You know, we win. We've both won together. You know, so I always think that's quite important. That, you know, we get that and we can build a rapport with someone. And I think from that natural sincerity and that care, I think comes as part of that. And again, me taking it back to working with young people. You know, kids aren't silly. They're very intuitive kids, and they know. You know, in a kind of a third sense space, whether you're rooting for them or not. You know, kids know quite quickly whether you're genuine or not. They just sense it, you know, and they can reject you and never want to talk to you or have anything to do with you in a heartbeat. And that's completely up to them. But you know what I mean? Kids know. You know, that's why kids say something like, my teacher hates me. You know, they'll try picking up a vibe. It's not hate, but they're picking up a vibe. And the kids are intuitive to that naturally, you know, and I think young people know quite intuitively whether you are genuine, whether they know quite quickly whether they can trust you. And that's even more important for children, because some kids do just trust naturally anyway. Teenagers, trust is a big thing, you know, and again, they'll know in quite quick time whether they want to work with you or not, whether you care, you're sincere, you do what you say you're going to do, you don't let them down. That trust and integrity is really important. If you say you're going to do something, make sure you do it with any of your clients. All of those things make you an excellent coach, and I think they're really good personality skills and traits to have.
Love that. Thank you. Questions and curiosity. Curiosity ignites your spirit. Ask questions that empower and create buy-in. Avoid judgmental and advice-oriented questions. Powerful questions release solutions. Asking great questions requires practice. I love all of this, especially the judgmental part of things and advice-oriented. It's very, very easy. Even without being a coach, as a normal person, it's very easy for us to just jump into, a friend of ours might have said something to us, then quickly we want to jump into giving advice based on our own experience. For example, once, oh yes, I went through this, so this is what I did. Oh, by the way, you know, I think you should do this. Like, like sometimes you just want to listen and just not give advice, you know. So yes, as human beings, our first reflex is just to give advice and whatnot, and even to be judgmental. You know, it's just a normal human being reflex. But as a coach, we have to train ourselves not to do that. Like you cannot judge your client, you know, and then advice, no, unless you actually seek permission. If you believe that thing they're talking about, you have this great, I don't know, out of this world advice, I think definitely would do, ask them before, you know, permission before you share the advice. And of course, put a clause that, you know, I'm not advice, you don't have to take this advice. It's just maybe something I've done before, then it worked this way, you know. So we have to be careful, because people, you know, like I said, people are looking for people to tell them what to do, and they're looking for who to shift the blame on or responsibility on. They can say, well, she told me to do that. So I did. And then my house got burnt down and I lost my kids. Oh, I did that. So we have to be careful, because then we have to protect ourselves. As much as we want the best for our clients, we have to protect ourselves and be wise at how we give information and things like that. Powerful questions, you know, asking good questions, require practice. I don't think I'm there yet, of course, just 3 years into practice of coaching now. I don't think I'm there at asking the right questions, but so far, because I've been asking, I've been obviously helping, getting results, for getting them to think and getting them to learn how to grow themselves, getting the answers themselves. But it's an ongoing journey and ongoing practice, to understand how to ask the right question, great questions, and asking questions that empower and create a buy-in, because you put the
Mm,
power back, the power lies in them. It's not about you, it's them. So you have to empower to know that it's all about you. Just this session is for you, not for me. We're here because of you. So question that you ask them to empower, look, they feel like, yes, about me. I can answer this and talk more about myself, to get that buy-in. And I think that also goes back to having that relationship, having that trust, because if someone does not trust you, like you were saying about those teenagers or young kids, they will be closed up. They will not give you anything. There will not be a buy-in. So you can ask all your questions or your wants. You're not going to be getting yes, no, like nonchalant responses, and you can't really get a buy-in from them, right? So it's very key that we ask the right question. Again, is a
yeah,
practice,
yeah.
learn. You cannot know it overnight. People that are great with that, they didn't just wake up and they're great at it.
Yeah, sometimes I'm reflecting on coaching sessions and I'm like, I should have asked that question. It's like 2 days later, like that would have
Yeah.
been a good question. I often find that I think of good questions when I'm asked good questions. That's how I've got more confident in asking good questions. It's when I know I've been
Yeah.
asked good questions myself that have really made me think, wow. It's like, and even out loud, I'll say, wow, I've never been asked that before. I need to think about that. And then when I thought about that and in brain that, then I come back and think, wow, that was a really good question, for myself. Like, where,
Yeah.
how could I help someone else by asking them that question? What
Mm.
context would it be good in? And that, and then I
Yeah.
forget it. And then I'm in them and think, so it's really interesting, and I think asking good questions. I mean, I'm naturally curious, so I like
Mhm.
to ask questions anyway.
Yes.
And I'm always the
Yeah.
kind of person that gets talking to someone on a bus, or
Mhm.
someone will start talking to me. I've got one of those faces, people just start talking to me all the time about everything. So I'm naturally,
Yeah.
I like asking questions and I like
Yeah.
finding things out, and I have to admit, sometimes I've done that without permission. You start,
Yeah.
hi, how did you get that? You
Yeah.
think, hang on, I'm overstepping them up. But that's not me as a coach, that's just me in general.
Yeah.
So
In person. Yeah.
questions are really good for me anyway, and I enjoy good questions and
Yeah.
asking questions. But I know when I first started, that's the bit that held me back the most, because I always think,
Yeah.
well, you've got to be listening to what your client's saying, and then I can't think of the next question, and then I don't know, you know what I mean? And that used to really get
Yeah.
me in a bit of a bind sometimes, getting too caught up in what should be the next
Yeah.
question, or overthinking it or something.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
that's something I'm still learning now as well, getting confident with, what
Yeah.
questions will open my client up and just shift their perspective a little bit in a certain moment.
Yeah.
But like I said, for me, being asked good questions always elicits me to realise, well, yeah, that was a really good question.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I I used to say, oh, what should I ask next? As well, I used to think, what am I going to ask? But I'm like, I need to stop worrying about that and just
Mm,
listen in the moment and be listen to what they're saying, because questions will come from what they're saying.
yes, yeah,
So if I do listen well, there are things I will question based on what they've said. So it
yes,
continues like a
yeah,
chain kind of thing. So like, okay, of course I could have my own prerequisite questions I want to ask them, but suddenly you realize that, you know what, all the lists I've made based on the first question, I
yeah,
can't answer that. I have to keep because once we
yes,
answer that first question, I have to keep asking more. Then
yeah,
I'm going to leave out the one I've written now because like, this is more interesting. Let's find out
yeah,
more. Tell me
yeah,
more
yeah,
about this.
taking you somewhere
Why
else.
did yeah,
And I think,
so it's like, yeah,
yeah, I think that's part of growing as a coach, isn't it? Knowing actually you can not have to have the questions written down, but actually be able to take
yeah,
them follow them where they're going with the questioning. And I always
yeah,
thought at first that I needed to guide have my questions guide my client through to a
mhm,
conclusion. And then
yeah,
someone told me, no, you're just leading someone. That's you being in control. Take yourself out of it. Like you just
mm,
said, you know, make the questions based on where they're taking you, and don't try. There is times where people are like not answering a question, or, you know, they're not being honest and going around something, where you just have to switch it up a bit and actually drill down and push them for an answer, because that will then open something else up for them. And I'm a lot more challenging someone now when the answer they've given me is like, I don't really, let me just ask her that in a different way, because, you know, let's be honest, you know, that kind of thing. But I think that comes from doing it more and more and more, I think. Yeah,
definitely like that. Listening and intuition. Listen rather than tell, you know, just listen. And the act of listening is, again, practice. Take practice. It's not something like we're born with. You know, people always say things like, that's why you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, you know, listen more. So,
talk less.
Some of us, we listen to want to respond, but we should just listen. It's not, you're not trying to respond, you just listen, be in the moment. Because like I used to do this, when I listen to you, I've already formed something in my head. So my head is already thinking about all the stuff. Then I'm no longer with you. So whatever you're saying, I'm hearing you, but I'm not listening anymore because my mind is gone, right? But since I started being a coach, I shut down those thoughts. So that means so that I can be present with you, listen and hearing you and listen at the same time. Because there's difference between hearing someone and listening to somebody. Like some people I will be hearing them, but gosh, I am like 100 miles away from them. But I'm hearing them. But I'm just not there with them. Unfortunately, I'm not there with you right there. But as coach, we need to be there, because then that's how you then know what questions to ask next, based on what they've said. And like you said, that's how you know whether they've not answered that question very well, or you can sense, okay, let me ask in a different way. Maybe you get what you're looking for to help, you know, both of you. So, but you can't know that if you're not listening.
You know, I found the best way that I tested and learned that coaching skill in myself was with my own children, because I realized that I don't listen to them very often. I hear what they, you know, but I hear what they, but I don't really listen. And actually my relationship with my son improved no end when I actually started listening to what he was saying.
Honestly, I think a lot of parents, we do that until we start being intentional and learning how to actually really listen to our kids. We're always, you know, like the third way is avoid. We jump into premature conclusions because we've not finished listening to them. I'm like, oops, sorry, I'll let you finish.
And I had to learn that. That was my best way of learning that as a coaching skill, was to work with that with my teenage son.
Honestly, like, it's very key that we are present. I forgot the next one, actually present. I was talking about being present while listening. Be present and turn off your inner dialogue. For someone like me, 10,000 things go through my head. I could be looking at you, but I'm not there with you. I have like 1,000 things going on in my head. So when you're talking to me, especially if you're not interested, girl, I'm gone. Literally, I'm just there present physically with you, but I'm not there with you mentally. So, but when we're coaching our clients, we need to be present. That's why I always try to reduce or remove all forms of distractions. Because when something distracts me, then my mind just goes in a different direction, but then it affects me being present right there. And so it's very key. And turn off your inner dialogue. Things are talks in your head because of something you heard, then you start creating a map from that, but then you've taken yourself away from the presence of the person talking to you. They just talking, they just yapping, you're not listening anymore. You're hearing them, you can hear the noise of their mouth, but you're not listening anymore. And it doesn't make sense, because then when you come back from your travel, your mind travel, you've missed a lot. You've missed a whole lot. And it's unfair to the client because you've not listened. So you're not going to go to a conclusion that is not right because you've not listened. And then that way, like you said, some people would have that intuition, like, you know what, I don't think she listened. I don't think she heard what I said. Because if she did, she wouldn't have concluded this way, or she wouldn't have said what she said. And that's when your relationship will start kind of moving apart, because then they just feel like you're not listening. you're not always present, you're not giving them premature conclusions. So it's very key that we're always there, right? Honestly, this for me is still a learning thing, and yeah, I have to be intentional after this. So sometimes I have to like, well, this is not being a coach, but in being my normal human somebody, like I have to really sometimes close my eyes just to focus, like literally shut my eyes to distractions, physical,
Yes.
and just focus on what my thoughts are.
Yes.
Because a lot going on, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I have to obviously develop myself, train myself when I'm coaching, mentally to distract, to take away distractions and just focus on my client right there and then. Be impartial and non-judgmental, listen deeply, use observation and intuition. I think we talk about intuition. When they're answering your questions, you would know that something is not adding up.
Yeah.
You know, you just
that,
know.
Yeah.
You know?
And that comes from actually that building that rapport with your client a little bit and understanding them a little bit and being confident enough to almost challenge them when you know that maybe they're telling you what you want to hear when it's not authentically what they feel or think. Because some people get into that pleasing mode where, you know, depending on what they are, they want to, whether you're paying you as a coach or not, they still want, you know, appreciation and validation and praise, you know. So they'll tell you what they want to hear. And I think it's understanding that as well and spotting that and being honest with someone and saying, yeah, is that true? Is that, are you being honest with yourself with that? And having to be like that.
Yeah, and I think it also comes with practice, with that observation. So I watched a show and they took this girl to a therapist just to see how stressed she is, because she's obviously stressed. But then because she knew that these things don't affect her, she seemed now upbeat, happy, and like obviously she was lying about everything. And but the therapist, the doctor was saying, was agreeing with everything. So like, okay. She was not judgmental, nothing. She left. She then gave a report to the dad and said, oh, she seemed like, you know, everything is going okay, but they're just all fake answers that she gave.
Yeah.
You know, so she was able to understand, observe, and that is like, you know what? No, something is not right here.
Yeah.
You know, there is no way a 16-year-old girl will be that upbeat. Let's be real. You know, there's something that she observed. And so us as coaches, well, we need to, you know, train ourselves. Again, it's not an overnight thing, it's practice, you know, train ourselves to know, to be able to observe and know these things through body language, through how they're speaking, through what the words they use, semantics, the words they're using, you know, how are they fidgeting? Like you would know when, like you said, relationship is when you know someone already, and then the way they're talking or the way they're like, this is not this person.
Yeah, it's not aligned.
Usually not like this, something is not right. Then you can probe further, you can ask further, ask questions. And to me, I'm not afraid to stop when I feel like, you know what, I think I can sense something is not right, and they're not trying to give, they're like, I don't want to talk about it. You can say like, they don't want to talk about it. Like, okay, like there's no point pushing further because you're not going to get, people are just going to get frustrated. Like, you know what, can we move this forward? Or, you know, just going to get frustrated. Just take a step back, take a breather, take a break. It's okay to stop. You can't just keep asking questions and badgering them. Or because you feel like something is off. You know?
And you can ask and say, is this something that you want to talk about in this session? Or is this something that, you know, you want to talk about right now? Are you open to talking about, you know, will this be useful discussing this at the moment? And actually saying the observe, it's funny with observation, because not only can you see it, but you can put that back to someone. So you can say, I can see that you're like really uncomfortable now, you know, I can see just by looking at you that you're really excited about this, or, you know, that this is making you feel a certain way, and share the observation with them, because sometimes they don't realize the body language they're giving off. So when you say to someone, how do you feel about this plan? And they say, oh yeah, 10. Okay, yeah. You can kind of, and then reflect that back to you. Yeah. So yeah, it's really interesting. Your observation, I think, is really good.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah. Cool. Feedback and awareness. Embrace feedback to triumph. Awareness and acceptance cultivates transformation. So feedback is huge. Like I used to find it hard to give feedback to certain people. Like this is now for me, this feedback and awareness for, as a coach, I love feedback from people. Like, and I try not to even post like, oh, yeah, you gave me this, but because you didn't pull your weight, like, I don't even care. For me, I would think, how can I make it that situation better in the
Mm.
future? How can I make that process better? For that person to feel like this, there must be a reason for them to feel like that. But sometimes I find it hard to give feedback to people because I feel like I'm almost afraid that they will not take it well.
Yeah.
But then again, I feel it's like a conflict because then when I don't share, I feel like then there's no room to grow or to
Yeah.
transform. So like I am stuck in the middle. How do I give feedback? But for me, I am that like I give room for my client to feedback for me as well. Like, how can we do this better? How can our relationship be better? How can I convey my message better? How can I communicate it better? How can I be a better coach for you? What could we do better doing throughout the system, the process, meetings, whatever it is, every touch point, what could be done better?
Hmm.
You know, if as a coach, you do not embrace feedback, then I'm sorry to say that you don't want to grow. It's as simple as that because nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
There's always a room for improvement. There's always a room for it. Sometimes you would notice yourself like, oh my God, that has not gone well. What can I do to make it better?
Yeah.
And other
Yeah.
times you need people to tell you, to show you, okay, this can be done better, or this thing is not working. How can we
Mm.
make it better?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
when you are aware of this and you accept it, transformation is inevitable. You just get it. For me, I'm always looking for change. I'm always looking for growth. I want to be transformed. My coaching process will be transformed because once I am transformed, my coaching process is transformed. My clients will be transformed.
Mm. Yeah.
Again, when others win, we win too, right? So again, don't forget it's about your client. So meaning everything you're doing in your coaching practice, the end goal is to make your client's life a little bit better, move them closer to their goal. That is what you're trying to do, right? So
Mm.
because of that, if that's the only reason why you're gonna take away your emotions and feelings, you know what, I'm gonna embrace feedback because I need my client's life to be transformed. I need their life to be better than when they came to me. So I'm gonna embrace feedback. I'm gonna be aware of my shortcomings and I'm gonna embrace and then work to make it better. So it's very key as coaches not to be afraid of feedback and see it as opportunity to grow, opportunity to get transformed as a business, as a person, just to help our clients grow as well. So I don't know if you have anything you want to add onto this one.
Yeah. No, no, not much more to add to that. I mean, yeah, I think on the two sides as a coach, the feedback
Mm-hmm.
is important. Both being honest and constructive and supportive towards your client and
Yeah,
receipt from yourself, from your client. And then I think in your
yeah,
business as well, when you're actually doing the business side and you're offering services and programs and workshops and stuff, being open
yeah,
to two-way feedback around that is really useful as well. So yeah, everything that
yeah.
you've said. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for sharing. Goals and action plans. Establish goal ownership and commitment. I love that. Create strategies and action plans for goals. Keep score of goals and action steps. Allow coachee or your client to decide on goals to work on. Use visualization techniques to maintain focus and to leverage the law of attraction. Yes, so it's depending on your coaching practice, what you're coaching on, or what, the stage or whatever, to some point where you have established goals, right? But then for me, the important thing is to make sure the goals are set by your client, not you. Yes, you're more than welcome to help with strategies to achieve those goals, to have plan, to, like an accountability kind of stuff, right, for them. But at the end of the day, it's not, they know your goals, they are your client's goal. Allow them to create those goals. I do have like accountability service or program that I run for any client that wants it. All the goals is theirs. I'm not going to tell you what you've come to me because you want to achieve particular goals. So what are those goals? Let's break it down. Let's have strategies to achieve them. You are the owner of this goal setting. You're the owner and you have to commit to it, right? And you have to do them. I'm not going to do anything. I will create strategies, tools, and direction how to achieve these goals. But I even give you like a management tool to track your goals. But at the end of the day, it is your responsibility to achieve them. It's your responsibility to make sure you stay on track. It's your responsibility to also inform me as a coach. Tell me, we have any challenges in achieving those goals, if we are stuck, or is your responsibility, you have to commit to it. So that's the way I see it when it comes to goals and action plans, is 100% the client's responsibility to own those goals, to decide on the goals they want to work on. But then as a coach, you then help them in creating the strategy and helping them with accountability. But yeah.
Yeah, and I would add to that, that I know when I first started my coach training, and I think the first model that I was shown was the grow model, and the first thing that focuses on is what the goal, what does your client want? But I found in myself, now I've been coached, and now that I'm working with adults and young people, that the first few sessions, they might not know what they want. They might not have established the goal. And one of the things I learned, not with all of my clients, but with some of them, is that, like I said, the different types of coaching sessions, because before you can get someone to start working on a goal, they have to identify what the goal is and explore that a little bit. And sometimes the goal, like I think you said, the goal that they come with isn't ultimately the goal that they ultimately want. And so unless you spent a little bit of time really exploring that and drilling down on that, even if a client comes to you with a goal, just check it, make sure, is this actually what you want? Is this, why do you need it? Blah, 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 flesh it out, because it might be actually something a little bit different that's actually the goal. Explore that. And if someone comes to you and actually they don't have a clue where they are, like, a 17-year-old, like, I don't know what the goal is, then make sure that you've got enough time and have sessions available to help them think about that and clarify that. Because there's nothing worse than working with someone and you get halfway and you think, yes, we're winning. And then they realise, I didn't want that anyway. And then you think, why have they stopped? Why are they not doing that? And it's like, actually, it wasn't a solid goal in the first place. It's not what I wanted. And that's quite disheartening as a new coach. You think, like, you feel like you failed or you haven't done something right. When in fact, we hadn't tested the strength of that goal and the want for that and the reasons behind wanting it enough. To go with that. So
Thank you for sharing. Accountability and accomplishments.
Yes.
Support goals. We just literally talk about that. Support goals completion continuously. Accountability drives accomplishments. Acknowledge efforts and progress. Is very key to, especially that, like I know you said that before, like, clients wants to know that they're doing well, they're on the right track, acknowledge the efforts, no matter how tiny it is. Say, you're doing great, well done. I usually sometimes won't just shout at my clients for some of the wins, no matter how small, no matter how big, like, yes, well done, you're doing great. It gives them another drive to just keep going, keep pushing. Accountability drives accomplishment, knowing that they have to report to someone, like in a week's time, they have to come and tell you what they've done or how they've done it or whatever. Like, oh my God, you still have to do this. I'm not saying that's the best, mechanism, but at least they're getting it done.
It works for some people, and you're right, it's not right for everyone, but in some cases that is absolutely a massive motivator, knowing you can share your win with someone, however small. And I think as a reflection, that's something I don't do. I don't celebrate my small wins. I don't even celebrate my big wins. Sometimes I need to celebrate my achievements. Sometimes I get to a Friday and I'm looking at my book and I'm like, I've done this, 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 I've done this. And I never look back and think, well, I've smashed it. This occasionally, like, I've achieved like 25 tasks this week. Yeah, I still think like, oh, there's the 2 things I didn't get done, and I'll be focused on those. So I think that's something in myself that we all should do more, is be in a group so you can acknowledge efforts. And my friend had a really good Clubhouse group back in the day where it was all about celebrating success, and every Friday that's exactly what they would do, and it was such a lovely group, such a good idea. Yeah,
that's amazing. Maybe we can even start doing that in our group on a Friday to say, celebrate your win Friday. Share with us one thing that we've done this week that we are so much proud of, no matter how small or how big it is. Just share with us, I think that's
so nice.
Celebrate us, and then we can get to the habit. Once we're in the habit, and we can celebrate our client as well, that yes, no matter how small, you're doing great. So we have to support them continuously with their goals as well, just what they need to accomplish it, strategies, tools, whatever, or even connection, that someone that can help them in terms of their goals and whatnot, is very, very key. Safe and supportive environment. We all need our thinking challenged sometimes. So we've talked about that, challenging them, but offered without sufficient support, challenge can cause damage by decreasing trust and eroding morale.
Mm,
Providing safety and support includes assuring people that they've been heard and that their feelings and values are understood. It builds trust, encourages honesty and candor, and helps your client to feel safe. It's up to you to create an environment where risk taking feels rewarding, not risky. So
mm,
keep your attitude as open and as non judgmental as possible, and let the coachee, the client, know you support them, even as you test their knowledge and skills. You know, this is so, I think without this, everything we've talked about would not
mm,
happen.
yeah.
If there's no safe, they don't feel like they're in a safe and supportive environment. I don't think any other thing would really come out at all. So it's very key, assuring them that I hear you, you're well, your values, your feelings. Again, it's all about your client. Take out
Mm,
your emotions, take out your own feeling. It's about their feelings, about their values, it's about what they're saying and whether you've heard them is very important. Like we always, if you have to write it on your wall, on a post-it, please do. It's because it can be very easy for us to get into our own feeling or emotion and want to say something, but no, it's about them. Always remember that whatever advice, whatever question, anything you want to ask or do, is about them. So how would what I'm about to say, what I'm about to do, is going to offer a safe and supportive environment for them.
yeah.
Is
Yeah.
what I'm about to ask them, is they're going to make them feel supported, is going to make them feel safe. You can challenge people, but you must make sure it doesn't damage their trust.
Yeah. And I
It
think that
doesn't damage
me,
their morale. No.
yeah, the trust could be built first and established, and that safety net
Yeah,
created, I think, before I could
yeah.
go deep, some people. And actually the most powerful conversations I've had in that case have been with people that I've been working with for a while, where you actually sometimes just
Mhm.
have to say it as it is as a coach and say, actually,
Yeah,
you're kidding yourself, basically. Uh, for them
yeah,
to be like, actually, I trust her to know that she knows I know I'm kidding myself. Do you know what I mean? It's like that, but not very often because I haven't had as many clients that I would have that I've got to that level with. But I think, and every now and again, I need my coach to do that with me. Sometimes I might need
yes,
someone to be a bit honest with me in that support because I know they've got my best at heart. That's what the only reason it
yeah.
could be that way. So it's good. But I think everything you said there is really good. And someone said when I was doing coach training that a really good question to ask yourself when you're going to offer a suggestion or ask a person that might be going to is this useful or helpful?
Hmm.
Because sometimes being helpful, you don't need to be helpful with people. Sometimes you, like you said before, it's like, oh, I know, this could help you. Yeah.
Yeah,
If it's useful in that moment to help them move on and have an understanding, then it could be
yeah,
offered. But if it's just helpful because you know the answer and you're going to save them time and blah, 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 then leave that to one
yeah,
side. And every now and again, I have to catch myself with that. Like, I don't need
yeah,
to add that. Shut up. Say
yeah.
less.
And you're so right. I have a client. Well, I don't know what to call her, but she's a past client, but we still talk business. And she called me, and then she's like, "Oh, this and this." Literally, what she was looking for was because people call me this Iron Lady. I say the way it is. I don't sugarcoat things, but I've been nice about it. So she's calling me about a certain situation, but she knows that I'm the only one that would definitely tell her.
Yeah.
uh, she doesn't want to just tell her how it is. Like, let's not mess about. Tell her straight,
Yeah.
And then we talked for like an hour, and then she's like, "Oh, so how much is my like? How much? What do you mean?" So we have that relationship. You are so right that you need
Mm.
to create a relationship first before you
Yeah.
can then be Margaret Thatcher to them, and so, and they challenging their thought process or say certain things without sugarcoating it. It
Mm.
needs to get to a certain level of relationship, and I have that with all my clients, my past clients. When I challenge them like that or say something or ask them in the form of question, they know it's all love and it's all support and it's from
Yeah.
a nice
Point
environment,
of
not
view.
you know,
Yeah.
be
And
just a,
following up with that as well, because it's all very well to ask challenging questions,
mm,
in the right circumstance, but it's also following up, how did that question make you feel? What came to
yeah,
mind when you,
yeah,
on reflection, you've lifted that question for a week now. What more has come out of that from that? What more can you add? What did
yeah,
that have, what I mean? Just so that where that has left your client as well. You know, because sometimes you could have touched a trigger point and that might could have made them depressed for the whole week because you've touched something that you might not have been aware about. And it's important to know that so that you can come back and offer that safety net and that support to say, actually, you know, we hadn't discussed that. Is that something that, you know, we could leave at this time, or is that something that's impacting your goal at the moment? So it's really good that if you're going to do that, that it's all part of that supportive, and that you don't just say something and then leave it at that and think you've done a good job. Oh, I've challenged them, it's great. Without, you know, how did that land with you? How does that feel? Where did you go with that? Yeah.
I like that. That's like a follow-up kind of. I love that, like safety net. Like it's okay. I'm still gonna like. I use one hand to do this. I'm like, well, I'm still here to support you. What do you need? Are you okay? Like,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah. And I think again for me, working with, you know, I do that with my adult clients, but with my young people, that is even more super supportive. Is that you know, if you need to say something that you know they need to hear, you know, and ask the question that maybe no one's asked them or has answered them, and I haven't, that you follow that up, and you know, I'm asking this because now look what you feel, you know, or you never said that before. Well done, like this opened up something new now. They're like, how do you feel? That's really good about offering that support and keeping that going, and praising all the small wins as well. That's so important to me every day. Praising the little win, and I do it with everyone else, and I don't do it with myself.
I'll start asking you every Friday. I'll start asking you.
Yes, there you go.
Right, so we've come to the end of the workshop. So I just want to ask you, is there anything that you can say that you're taking away that maybe jumped out at you today, like maybe you didn't know before you knew, but wasn't really concrete, that I think, you know, oh, definitely I'm going to take that away and work more on it, or I'm going to take that away and just like, let me think more about it. I'd like to know.
Yeah, and there's a couple of points there that's made me think, like myself, there was like there was a bit about listening, and even though I identified that, I had to ask myself, do I still listen? Yeah, that's something that I need to go away and think about, the listening side, because that's something I always need to come back and reflect on, and being in the moment again with people, especially when, you know, it's beautiful if you get like an hour coaching session with someone and you're in a nice little space, and it's, you know, and then you've got time to reflect on it afterwards and blah blah blah. But often it might be a bit of time on the phone, and then as soon as you put the phone down, something else is happening, and you don't always get to, you know, you're always thinking about that next thing, or you know, I've got 10 more minutes and then I've got to cook dinner or something. Do you know what I mean? So really just, I think I'm going to check in myself again around the listening. And then you said something really nice about the observations of people as well, and I need to do a little bit around that. I think would be really good.
Yeah, I think for me it's that listening part as well, because I feel like it's going to be a very long journey that I keep, you know, learning on that journey. Practicing. Definitely need that, like being like mentally being present is something that definitely needs to keep working on. And I think also one taking away is what you said just now about the safe and supportive environment. About, yes, they've come to you because they know you're the one that can give them that challenging question or that advice, whatever. Go back, follow up, and see, you know, whether what they've done about what we talked about, or how that question made them feel, or you know, what we add with that conversation that we add, you know, just to make sure that they are okay with it, and maybe something new has come up or whatever, just to say, I'm still here, I'm still supporting you, you know, that kind of. So I really like that. I didn't think about that before. So you saying that, like, yes, that's what, so now I'm gonna go and check in on them, like, how are you doing today?
Little text message, and just, you know, and in some cases they might say, do you know what, I don't want to go there, you know, I don't want, it's like, fine, hard stop, let's move on to something else, you know, and then, you know, and that builds trust as well, because you don't want a client coming to you thinking, I don't want to talk about that, and they're thinking the whole time thinking, I don't want to talk about that, I don't want, waiting for that question to land when they don't want to talk about it, you know, that's already pushing your poles apart. So just having that understanding and being honest and saying, you know, how did that come across, how did that land, you know, what you're thinking about that, are you comfortable discussing that, is that in par with the goal that you're achieving? Sometimes it could or not be interfering with what they want to achieve. Might be, might not be, but you don't know till you ask.
Exactly. So that's me. Apart from everything, it's something that, again, take practice, asking the great question, continue practicing, continue learning. It's very, very key. So Any questions?
No, I think that was really good. Really, yeah. And if you've got any questions, then do come and send us a message, or you can get it in our group. You know, you can reach out once you watch this this video. You can contact either of us independently or together in our next catch up. If you've got anything that comes out for that, so lots of ways to contact us if you want to give us some feedback on our session, which, like you said, we're always open to.
Yes, of course. Well, that's it for me.
And for me as well. We're looking forward to part 3.
Yes, next week we start about the business of coaching. Woohoo, that's exciting. I love talking business. So yeah, we'll start that next week for the next 2 weeks. But thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week at 7 p.m.
Okay.
Take care. Bye.
All right, let me do this.